Hey everyone, today we are gonna see a what if Edward care for Renesmee after Bella's death. When you thought you gained the world, then all of a sudden, they took the original basic bliss from you. What else could I have after the one who was important to me was not with me anymore? My existence was dark and dismal. Full of pain, like the light of the moon and stars disappeared from the world, you couldn't see anything without it. What if you got one more chance to see the light, or even granted a miracle? What if you got one more chance to stay beside the moon and stars? To undo all the mistake and harm, to have a fresh new start, I knew I would hold the miracle with my whole life, not letting it go again, whether the miracle belongs to me at the end of my existence. Epitaph. Bella? All the Volturi guards suddenly attacked Bella, they only focused on her. I ran toward her. We had been separated by a continuing attack she stood too far for me to reach for. I needed to get to her before she was harmed, and as if some guards knew what I planned to do, they blocked me from going after the ones who wanted to go to Bella. I picked up Aro's thoughts amongst them all. Bella is too dangerous and a very powerful vampire. Her gift is truly remarkable. An omnipotent and incomparable gift. With her presence, Jane and Alec are useless and worthless. Since she refused to join my empire, in this circumstance, destroying her is the only option. Edward, no. Stay put. Don't come. Was that Bella's mind? Don't come. Edward, take care of our daughter. I will always love you. It was Bella's voice. I always desperately wanted to hear her mind, and now I could hear her, but this was the first and last time. How ironic. No. Bella. I can't lose you. I can't live without you. You are my everything, you are my all, I cried. Please don't. Come back, Bella. It was too late. Not my Bella. Not her. Bella was ripped apart and burned in a second. All that was left were her ashes. No. 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 Emmett and Carlyle were beside me out of thin air and held me tight. Let me go. I growled and struggled to get out of their grip. Don't, Edward, Carlyle muttered woefully. It's too late. No. Bella was fine. Bro, Emmett's grasp was tighter after he felt my struggle was fiercer. Think of Renesmee, your daughter, of you and Bella. Carlyle nodded to Renesmee, who was standing far behind the battlefield. They let go of me when I no longer wriggled. I sat on the ground staring at the ashes. My Bella, I didn't know how much time had gone. My Bella, I wondered if my heart had missed a beat. I could feel the hurt inside me. My Bella, the pain was so intense. My Bella, no, my Bella, that wasn't hurt. My Bella, that was more than hurt. My Bella, what was that? My Bella, I felt someone pat me and shake me, but I didn't care. Daddy, I heard someone whisper to me, and I was sure she was not Bella. I looked up and searched for the one who was talking to me. I found her, the chocolate brown eyes. Renesmee was all I left now. Jasper POV. Edward was trying to remember Bella again. I could feel the pain and love from his room. His pain was always too much for me sometimes. I needed to leave to prevent myself from feeling his emotions. It had been 30 years since Bella's death. It had been 30 years since Edward took care of Renesmee. It had been 30 years since we left Forks. It has been 30 years since Edward was happy and blissful. He was not really happy during Renesmee's 7th birthday, even her wedding. Rosale didn't like him being like this when it came to the important events of Nessie's life, but she let it go, because even she couldn't bear the hidden, underlining sorrow beneath Edward's well-practiced expression of contentment. He tried to bury his grief, but I could pick it up no matter what. He was not the same Edward anymore. He seldom smiled, he just spent all his time looking over photos and videos. The photos and videos which had Bella on them. We sometimes could hear the voice of Bella from his television. The whole family had been wanting to alter his miserable state of mind for a while now. We had even taken him to Renesmee, which just made him worse. He didn't leave the island for 5 or 6 years. He came home after 10 years. We were that family again. We kept going to high schools, universities, changing homes. We kept up this routine without Edward. He was the moping Edward before meeting Bella. He had once tasted love, which made him more bitter when he saw there were 4 couples in the house. Either he stayed silent in his room, or he hunted. We were that sort of family before meeting Bella. Although there was Renesmee, Edward loved Renesmee. And he especially loved her eyes. her chocolate brown eyes. He loved staring into them. That made him feel like Bella was right there in front of him. Edward had been distant toward her when she finally grew up. Maybe because of Jacob. Maybe he thought his little girl didn't need him anymore. I didn't understand. Edward had gone back to Forks after Charlie's death. He wanted to live in the house Bella had lived in. He came back after a few months, and his state of mind was even worse than before. His pain was still too evident. He'd still continued to go back to Charlie's house every few months. We all knew there could be no good out of just grieving. We wanted to help him move on, but since he didn't even want to change anything in his room, we had no way of helping. Carlisle told us to leave him alone. After Bella died, maybe Ara wasn't threatened by our family anymore, or maybe he believed Renesmee was harmless, or maybe he thought he had done enough harm to our family. They left and never bothered us again, but it was too late. The harm had already been done. It was strange. Edward was not grieving like always. He was anxious and worried. For what? He hadn't had those kind of emotions for a long time. I could hear the footsteps. He'd been pacing unsteadily in his room since this afternoon. I looked at the clock that hung on the wall of living room. It was almost 9 o'clock. Edward, is something wrong? I asked, not bothering to raise my voice. I knew he understood what I was asking him. Everything's okay, he mused. Even though he said that, he still kept pacing, like I believe him. Rosalie snorted, switched off the television and went toward the garage, then stopped pacing around. It's so disturbing. Then what are you nervous about? Rosalie and I said at the same time. I heard Rosalie drop something like metal in the garage. I could tell she was irritated by her voice. Your emotions don't deceive me. I told him in my mind. I can't understand why I am feeling uneasy. Seems like I have an urge to go out. He was frustrated and confused too. I sighed. If Alice was here, she may be able to foresee the reason already, but unfortunately, she went hunting with the others, and they were not coming back anytime soon. Where do you want to go? I asked. I couldn't understand either. Want to go out now? I don't know. I think I need to go out. Just go out. He rustled his clothes. Maybe if you wait Alice to come back, you can. Now, he growled. Okay, I'll go with you then, I said at once. I know I'd better be with him when he was being this level of anxiety and restless. Nothing good would happen if he went alone like this. He nodded. Seems like he really had an urge, because he rushed to the garage. Garage? Not on foot? I asked inwardly. Car. My urge wants or needs me to go far. Okay. It's up to you. Where are you going? Rosalie saw us coming in the garage and frowned. Edward didn't answer. Instead, I answered. Somewhere. You want to join? Okay. Rosalie gave Edward the car keys hesitantly and got into the Jeep after Edward, since his Volvo was under no circumstance to be driven in. Edward kept silent on the way. He drove and drove without stopping. In fact, he was still driving after 3 hours driving. The farther he drove, the more he felt anxious. I was perplexed. What made him feel this way? Surprisingly, Rosalie didn't say anything. She was reading the magazine in silence. She even didn't ask when he would stop the car or drive back home. She was calm and patient. Perhaps she thought it was the time to let Edward release his pressure and pain. I couldn't pay attention to where we pulled up to after the 5 hours of driving because the nervousness emitted from Edward was too much. I heard Edward mumble, "Stay here. I need to check something." Then he disappeared. He ran toward the bushes. I didn't know how much time had passed. I was focused on controlling Edward's feelings and emotions until I heard Rosalie gasped. I smelled Edward at the same time. Edward! You kidnapped a baby? Rosalie exclaimed. Edward! You kidnapped a baby? Rosalie exclaimed. No, he murmured. Explain, Rose demanded blankly. She was furious with Edward and didn't believe what he said. I followed my intuition going into the forest. Then I discovered a baby was abandoned in an empty, deserted house. I feel that I grew attached to her once I saw her. I looked and saw a 3 or 4 month old baby girl sleeping in Edward's arms. Can I hold her? Rosalie asked. Though she still didn't believe what Edward said, she couldn't help wanting to hold her. Be careful. She is sleeping, Edward warned and gave her the baby. She a sense like as if Rosalie didn't know if she could say that. Edward nodded. What are you talking about? I asked. She smells like Bella, although the smell is weak. Edward finished her sentence. How? Rosalie asked. Since there was no way that two different people could have the exact same scent. Edward shrugged. You like the baby, I stated, and Edward nodded. She is with me now. Is she Bella? Rosalie asked the most crucial question. No. Bella is my wife, my soul mate. And this baby is just one of my family. Edward growled. However, his feelings told me that was not true. Shut up, Jasper. Apparently, Edward didn't like what I noticed. The baby kept sleeping during the drive, even when we arrived home. As Edward didn't want to stay away from the baby, it was Rose's turn to drive. And she was more than happy to drive, because the faster she drove, the faster she could reach home, and the faster she could spend time with the baby. I called Alice on the way home and told her what happened, relaying Edward's message to her. He needed Carlisle to end his shift earlier to come home to check the baby. Alice was shocked because she didn't see us bring home an orphan in her vision. Alice had prepared all the food and gears the baby needed when we got home. Carlisle checked on the baby and assured Edward she was fine. Edward worried something was wrong because she was still sleeping. Edward, trust me. She is a baby. She sleeps a lot. And she'll wake up when she is hungry. I need to change her clothes. Her little jumper is too dirty and muddy. Alice took her from Edward and went upstairs. Edward started to discuss the baby with Carlisle. We can't just let her stay with us. It's complicated to have a human being here. I interrupted their conversation when I heard Edward talk about keeping her. Edward snarled at me. I stay where she stays. I know you're perhaps attached to her, and if. I tried to reason with him. Edward, what's her name? Esme asked when she was putting the baby food in the kitchen. She was trying to prevent a fight between Edward and I. Well, Esme, I don't know. She doesn't have any name tags on. Edward replied. Then we heard Alice choke. Edward, come here. All of us dashed upstairs. Epoff. We rushed to my room. Alice's mind was chaotic, but not entirely. I could, at least, pick some words from her mind. How? Impossible. Is she? All of us were perplexed and stared at each other. Alice stood beside the bed and the baby was still sleeping soundly. What happened? Emmett broke the silence, impatiently. Jasper stood beside Alice to console and stabilize her emotions. Edward, check her wrist and the small of her back. Alice stopped her dry sobbing as her hands held the unchanged baby clothes tightly. I walked toward the sleeping baby and checked her wrist. I was not sure what I was supposed to find. Checking her wrist, I found a very small crescent-shaped pale scar. Then I checked the small of her back. There was a little birthmark. I started to choke as I felt I couldn't breathe anymore. Those were Bella's marks, and she also had Bella's scent and mind. Did this mean this baby was the reincarnation of Bella? Bella? I couldn't help calling Bella's name. At the same time, the baby woke up and opened her eyes as if she were responding to Bella's name. We all gasped. Her chocolate brown eyes. She was my Bella. I would not let her go this time no matter what. My Bella. I held her to me, kissing her forehead. Bella started crying. Esme handed me a bottle of milk. She is hungry. I thanked her and went into the living room. I knew my family wanted to meet Bella officially. I sat on the sofa and fed her. She opened her little mouth and started drinking. My family was around us, watching. They were amazed and fascinated. Their minds were full of questions and bliss. We had not gotten the time to discuss the issues the baby provoked, but instead, we discovered she was not a normal baby. She was Bella, my mate. It's like it's destiny, Carlisle said. Nothing can separate them. Never. We need to tell Renesmee and Jacob. Rosalie went to make the call. How will they react to this news? That baby girl is Bella. She is adorable. My little sister is back as a baby. Wow, her hair is really short, but it's clearly brown. She really is Bella. She is going to stay with Edward. Edward needs her, she needs Edward. Bella is really calm in his arms. Bella. 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 I can't believe it. Alice was extremely excited. I wonder if Edward can hear her mind now? Carlisle was curious. Not a chance. I chuckled. I was staring at Bella, and she was staring at her bottle. Her eyes were just as expressive as before. She is beautiful. I could understand Bella better with Jasper's gift. No one and nothing could ever hurt her. There were 8 vampires and a werewolf to protect her. I couldn't believe I was getting another chance with Bella. My Bella, she must be sleeping now. I picked up my speed. I was coming home after a quick hunting trip. I remembered Carlisle had said we should always check her temperature to make sure she wasn't too hot or cold. And now it was December. Alaska was freezing. I didn't want Bella to catch a fever. We had a family meeting after Bella arrived. Jasper was going to find Dee, who was successor of Jay, for Bella's paperwork, since we need them to take Bella to the hospital. And we all needed the new identities very soon so that we could move to a new place. Flashback. Edward, it's necessary to get her to hospital to check if we need give her some vaccines like hepatitis B, DTaP, polio vaccine, and since she doesn't have any birth. Carlisle pondered. Dee, Alice said smugly. She had foreseen what Carlisle was thinking. What? What Dee? Emmett confused. The paperwork guy, Rose explained to him. And I could see that Emmett was still perplexed by the answer she gave him. We need to get Bella a birth certification from Dee, I stated. Okay, I will work this out tomorrow. And I will tell Dee this is an urgent order, Jasper promised. Renesmee nodded and asked, then what's Bella's full name? Carlisle and I were thinking the same thing. The full name of Bella isn't the problem. The real issue is how we explain where she is from. We can't just tell people that Bella popped out of nowhere. How about adoption? I asked. We could just claim we adopted Bella. I saw my family except Carlisle were confounded. I muttered, explain later. Honestly, I don't think this is a good idea. Carlisle rejected my suggestion. We are discussing the fabrication of Bella birthplace, Carlisle told them. Why? This is the excuse we have been using, and it's perfect. I demanded a reason. I couldn't think of any idea better than mine. Carlisle had been claiming we all were his adoptive children. It's actually not perfect, Rose disagreed. I snarled. Son, clam down. Carlisle patted my arm. Adoption couldn't work in this situation. Edward, do you remember what your condition was before you found her? I nodded stiffly. How could I forget? Carlisle continued. You never went to school, you just stayed at home all the time. Emmett sniggered and interrupted, and sometimes you drove out like a madman. When I went back to Forks, I really was a madman. He was right, Emmett, Renesmee scolded. We had tried to make you look normal, but failed. This is a small town, people asked about you. So we told them you had some mental illness so that they would stop asking. I'm sorry, son, Carlisle apologized. I understand. I am the one that needs to apologize, I said bitterly. I didn't realize how much harm I caused. I am really sorry. I didn't mean to make you worry about me, and I am sorry for being that selfish. Renesmee rushed to hug me. Don't say that. We understand that it's painful for you. We are a family, thank you. They nodded curtly, but their thoughts were forgiving. No, they thought I did nothing wrong. Rose carried on with what Carlisle had said. Let's get to the point. People are going to be skeptical if we say the National Adoption Center approved our adoption application, since they believe you are crazy. So, we should leave, Rose concluded. I was stunned. Of all of us, Rose was the one who hated moving the most. She seemed to know what I was thinking. For Bella, she answered internally. Everybody seemed to agree with Rose. Then what's Bella's surname? We haven't talked about it yet. Maybe she can have McCarthy as her surname? Emmett asked excitedly. We haven't talked of her surname because we haven't finished talking about the facade. Alice sighed, stopping Emmett's fantasy. Rose glanced at him. Oops. Then you guys keep going, Emmett purred. Maybe Renesmee can pretend to be Bella's biological mother. That really solves most of the problems Jazz recommended. I thought about what Jazz had suggested. That was truly good. We could keep our facade, and people wouldn't doubt where Bella was from. Carlisle approved and everyone nodded. It couldn't be better more. I have a chance to be a baby's mother? It's too good to be real. Renesmee beamed and still couldn't believe it. Carlisle smiled at her. She left the room to see Bella. So? Bella's surname? Can she be a McCarthy? Emmett didn't give up. Nope. Settle down. She is a Cullen. Jazz chuckled. I said it out loud, she is Isabella Marie Cullen. Esme had switched on the heating system when I came home after a quick hunting trip. Alice and Rosalie were out shopping, and Carlisle was at the hospital. I walked into the living room and found out Esme feeding Bella, Jasper was reading and Emmett was playing his newest video game quietly. It's boring to play that game in silence. It's stupid to mute it, Emmett grumbled. Jasper snickered and replayed the reason for me. Jasper was reading to Bella while Esme prepared the milk. When Esme finished, Jasper gave Bella to her. Esme sat on the couch and started feeding Bella, then Emmett dashed in and switched on his Xbox as well television. Emmett didn't care to adjust the volume, even had Esme hinted. Emmett, Bella is here, Esme whispered. Bella, yummy, ho? Emmett waved to Bella and then immersed himself in his game. Emmett, the television is too loud. Hearing the warning from Esme, Emmett lowered the volume a bit. Still not enough. Esme said, frowning. Emmett murmured, I almost can't even hear. While he reached for the remote control, he lowered the volume a little bit. Still not enough. This time, Jasper just grasped the remote and muted the television. Emmett had wanted to complain, but he hesitated and stopped after he saw Bella. Bella stopped drinking and looked at him. It's not fair, he muttered. How's your day, love? I stroked Bella's cheek. Bella had finished her milk. I sat beside Esme and reached for her. She amused herself by touching and patting my face, which caused her to giggle uncontrollably. She's so cute. Jasper put down his book to lightly brush her cheek. Esme went to her room and immersed herself in the blueprint of Bella's room. She was designing a new room for Bella. Esme couldn't properly enjoy when Nessie was a baby because she grew too quickly, but now she could pay more attention to Bella, who was a human. My baby Bella. I heard the sound of an engine nearby, along with Alice's thoughts. She was not quite satisfied even after the shopping trip. I can't see anything. They must be on their way. I can't buy clothes for Bella when I don't even know her size. I don't like being blind. I need to plan another shopping trip and I will bring Bella with me this time. Rosalie darted into the living room with loads of bags. She seemed to really enjoy the idea of shopping for a child. Baby, miss me? I've bought so many things for you. Rosalie came in front of me and Bella. Edward, I think Nessie and Jacob are coming because I can't see anything now. Alice was still kind of frustrated about the shopping trip, and without a doubt, Jasper was soothing her. It's about time, I said when Alice showed off the new clothes and new toys to Bella. Bella was screaming happily. Rosalie had informed them to come home a few days ago, so I guess they were almost home. Rosalie was amused after she heard what I said. I can't wait to see their reactions. What reaction was Rosalie expecting? Bella was screaming again and her little hands were waving around when Rosalie started playing peekaboo with her little happy baby. Jasper enjoyed the emotion surrounding Bella. Bella. She was finally awake. I put down my book. I had thought she was just awake for a second to stir, but then went back to sleep. Bella woke up from her nap and squealed joyfully. I walked toward my bed and picked her up. What made you so happy? Bella. She looked at me and started saying something couldn't be understood at all, some syllables. I thought she was going to talk with me, silly me. Her pacifier dropped beside her when she opened her mouth to say something. She looked flustered, wanting her pacifier back. It's here. I placed her pacifier back in her mouth. She sounded satisfied and smiled up at me. As easy to satisfy you as before. I chuckled, still holding her. It is her meal time. Rosalie reminded me as she was preparing her milk. I walked downstairs toward the kitchen when Bella's pacifier dropped on the stairs again. She started crying without it. Sure, don't cry. It's dirty, I will give you a clean one. Don't cry, please. She kept crying, and suddenly Alice stood in front of me and handed Bella a new pacifier. Here you go. Bella caught it and plugged it into her little mouth. I sat on the couch and pulled Bella onto my lap, but found Emmett still playing his violent video game in 0 volume. No more violent video game. Bella is here. Rose came in, switched the channel of the television, while Emmett was too late to respond. Rose, I am playing. Emmett complained. No, you were playing, please think of your sister, Bella. She is a baby and your game will scare her. Be reasonable, Go watch some TV shows with Bella. Rosalie handed me the bottle of milk, then went back to the soon-to-be Bella's room with the remote control of the television. TV show? Winnie the Pooh is not even a TV show. Emmett muttered, then darted out to find Jasper to seek a wrestling match. I heard Carlisle's car was driving from afar. He parked in the garage and walked in few seconds later. Bella. Carlisle waved to Bella, who was drinking the milk. Bella blinked at him. Everything's okay? Carlisle asked. I nodded. Drooler, Bella is doing great. Emmett shouted from the garage. Bella was startled as her precious pacifier fell, but Carlisle caught it before it dropped on the floor. Don't call her Drooler. Keep your voice down, Em. You startled her? I warned. And decided to back into my room, in which you couldn't hear Emmett's voice as clear as in the living room. Carlisle came into my room and gave me the pacifier. Bella giggled happily to welcome Carlisle. I sighed. I had thought that the pacifier was either my or Bella's enemy at this moment. How many times has the pacifier tried to escaping from Bella? Rose gave me the milk and fastened the bib around Bella's neck. I saw the words on her bib bite me. I chuckled. I started feeding Bella when I heard a car engine near again. Nessie and Jacob were back. Renesmee POV. Jake and I had flown back from England, and we were both driving back to Alaska to see the family. We had been traveling until a few days ago, until I had received a call from Aunt Rose. She said that something important happened to the family, and it was about my dad. She didn't tell me what exactly happened, although I had asked. She just told me to come straight home. I was worried, but Jake reassured me there was nothing could happen to my dad, although I doubted that highly. After Mama's death, Daddy was not the same person anymore. He didn't talk much about Mama, but I knew he was thinking and missing her all the time. He hardly left his room after my wedding. Maybe he thought his little girl didn't need him anymore? Or he thought that Jake was responsible to me. I don't know. But I couldn't stand anything happened on Daddy. He deserved a better life. Jacob! Can you drive faster? I was impatient and anxious. Why couldn't he drive faster? Don't worry, Nessie, Edward is fine. Jake soothed me, caressing my shoulder. How can I not worry? He suffered a lot since I couldn't even finish the sentence. Mama's death hurt us so much, too much, hurt my dad, hurt me, hurt Jake, hurt our entire family. Just faster, I murmured. I couldn't set my heart at rest before I saw Daddy was intact by my own eyes. Jake stepped on the accelerator. Less than an hour, I saw the road I was familiar with. We were almost home. I could see the outline of the house from afar. Jake parked the car in driveway, while I got out of the car, even if the car hadn't stopped utterly. Nessie, that was dangerous. Jake hissed. I whispered a sorry, then ran toward the house. Where is Dad? Is he okay? Uncle Emmett and Jasper were wrestling in the garden. Old habit. Hi, Nessie. How's your trip? Uncle Jasper stopped wrestling and paced toward me. Good. And I was preparing to ask about my dad, but Uncle Emmett interrupted me abruptly. Hey Jacob. Nice to see you. Want a wrestling match? Uncle Emmett guffawed as he seemed really thrilled to see Jake. Sure. You can't wait to be a loser? Jake laughed. I'll say it one more time. Keep your voice down, Emmett. And you too as well, Jacob. Dad warned. He whispered the warning from his room. Damn it. Uncle Emmett cursed under the breath and told Jake the wrestling match needed to be held in the forest. Later, Emmett, Jake told Uncle M, who looked disappointed to his rain check. Jake and I didn't understand why we should need to keep quiet. Uncle Jazz must feel my perplexed as he patted my shoulder and muttered, Your dad is in his room. I walked in the house and found nothing different. Except there was a scent that was kind of weird, and a heartbeat. Wait, it was a human scent. Was Dad keeping a human? He loved someone besides Mama? I looked at Jake. His body was stiff and murmured something like impossible. Jake, you okay? I held his hand, and he nodded curtly. We went upstairs and stood in front of Dad's room. I heard Dad's voice when I was about to knock. Just come in. I opened the door. Epoff. I could hear everything that they were talking from outside the house. But I knew that Nessie was worried about me, and she was afraid that something bad happened to me. Hey Jake. Really nice to see you. Want a wrestling match? Emmett again from downstairs. Jacob barked while Bella squirmed in my arms. I was irritated that Emmett scared Bella again. Why couldn't he learn his lesson? Nessie was thinking I was in love with other human. It was ridiculous. I couldn't love anyone except my Bella. And Jake thought he was crazy because he thought he had caught part of Bella's scent. I smiled. He didn't know how right he was this time. How can I? This is exactly Bella's scent even if it is quite weak. No, it's impossible. I wanted to laugh. No, Jake. It was possible. I looked down at my Bella who was drinking the milk and tried clutching her lovely pacifier. I chuckled. The pacifier was no way to flee now. Rosalie had chained the pacifier on Bella's jumper. Nessie and Jake were standing in front of my room. But I didn't want them to knock the door. It might startle Bella again. Just come in. They opened the door and came in. Dad, Edward. Their sentence stopped when they noticed Bella. They took a sharp intake of breath while their minds were in turmoil. Is she Mama? She seems like Mama. That baby had Bella's scent and hair. It has to be only a coincidence. She has Mom's hair and scent. Is her eyes also chocolate brown like Mama? No way, she is Mom. Sober up, Renesmee Cullen. I read their minds while finding out Bella's eyes were closed, so Nessie and Jake couldn't see her eyes. I snickered. At the same time, Bella finished drinking the milk and opened her eyes. Mama? Bella? They both gasped as it seemed like they couldn't believe such a miracle happened before themselves. They were overwhelmed. Bella looked at them with her round, innocent chocolate brown eyes and squealed happily. Bella, please don't move, you just ate. I murmured, stopping her from waving her hands. Wait for me downstairs. I will talk with both of you after I hum Bella to sleep. I knew that Renesmee and Jacob both wanted to talk with me, but Bella need her sleep. I hummed for almost 30 minutes after burping her. Apparently, Bella didn't want to sleep yet, so she kept clutching her pacifier or looking her hands. Bella, don't you want to sleep? I cooed. Bella was looking around. She wasn't drowsy at all. I walked into the living room with Bella in my arms. Nessie and Jake were perplexed. She is awake. Bella don't want to sleep, I murmured. Rosalie appeared in the room and looked at me. Can I? I nodded and handed Bella to Rosalie. Rosalie whispered in Bella's ear, Bella, do you want to look around the house? Bella giggled with the sound ah. Seems like you are so pleased with this idea. Let's go, baby. Once I gave Bella to Rose, I watched them disappear into Carlisle's library. I then turned around to meet Nessie and Jake's awaiting eyes, while they kept their minds buzzing with questions. So, she's the real Bella? Jacob was thinking about the photo of Bella he had seen long time ago. And those faces on the photos were exactly same as the Bella who was in Rosalie's arms at this moment. You see her face. You also can check the scar on her wrist and the birthmark on the small of her back to confirm. I nodded. Can you read her mind? Still Jake's question. Nessie was too in shock to come up any question. No, what did Carlisle say? Jake was holding Nessie's hand, comforting her. Well, he said a lot. I think you mean what he said about Bella. Bella is about 3 months old, so Carlisle thinks that maybe she was born September 13th as well, but he is not so sure about that. But yes, Bella is human. Carlisle has assumed that she won't have any memory about the vampire life or the former human life. I also explained to them where, when, and how I found Bella. Jacob kept asking questions while Renesmee still kept quiet. I think his Nessie couldn't cohere a sentence. I understood her in a split second. I smiled. Like mothers, like daughters. They had so many similarities in every aspect, as they were easy to love, and easier to be loved. She will love you, Nessie. I promised. Bella loves everybody. Epoff. It has almost been a month since Bella has lived with us. She was just like other 4-month-old baby, except she didn't cry much. She smiled all the time. Bella loved lying on her stomach, as she loved playing with her pacifier more than anything, even more than me. It was great that she started recognizing my face and voice, so that she would find me quicker depending on where I was. And without a doubt, Bella loved Nessie and Jacob at the first sight. She never cried or started to scream when they held her. Instead, she smiled. Flashback. I kept chatting with Jacob and Renesmee. They had told and showed me their trip, although I still could feel Nessie was nervous and anxious about Bella. Bella had been asleep in Rose's arms during our chatting, but she woke up just by the time we finished. Rose handed me Bella, then left towards the kitchen to get water for her. Bella was vigorous after her nap when she kept watching what was going on around her. I sat Bella on my lap when I felt Nessie and Jacob were gazing at me. "Come here and let Bella meet you," I told them. They looked at Bella uneasily, but that was until Bella looked back at them. I watched as Bella's chocolate brown eyes met Renesmee's. I was touched. The two women that I loved the most were in my sight again. "Bella, Mama," Jacob and Renesmee both said at the same time. Bella smiled up at them as if she knew they were calling her, although I know she couldn't recognize her name until she was older. Nessie was moved as well. She couldn't believe that she could ever meet her mom again. And Jacob almost cried when I gave Bella to Nessie. "Do you want to feed her?" I asked her when I saw Rose was standing beside me, but she didn't pass the bottle to me. She was waiting. I could tell that she also wanted Nessie to try to feed Bella. Renesmee hesitated but nodded. "Try," I emphasized. Nessie carried Bella carefully. She was afraid she would hurt her or that Bella wouldn't love her as much as before, but Bella was just watching her quietly. Nessie took the bottle from Rose and started feeding Bella the water. Bella smiled and opened her little mouth to suck. And at this moment, Nessie and Jake were about to have a walk with Bella in the forest in our backyard. Although Bella enjoyed watching as well, she watched everything. Maybe that was the first step of becoming an observer. Jasper had concluded that theory. I chuckled, then went to backyard saying goodbye to Bella, but she even didn't pay attention to me. She was too busy looking around and blinking. Renesmee put her into the baby buggy that Alice had bought for her lately on an online shopping trip. I sighed. I didn't like or even hated being apart from Bella. Not seeing her even a moment made me agonized. But I knew I was too protective of her, even if I couldn't help myself. Bella was too important to me. She was my existence. I wanted to go with them, and yet I knew Nessie needed to spend some quality time with Bella. "I love you, Bella." I kissed her forehead, waving goodbye. Bella waved, although I knew she was just excited about the walk. She didn't even know what a goodbye was. I had been reading a lot of books about parenting. Alice ordered those books for me, since she knew I was anxious about the growth of Bella. I didn't think that reading was enough for preparation, but luckily, Esme and Rosalie were here. I knew they were going to join some parenting classes. Although I have a daughter, and she was not a full human, the way we educated and raised her couldn't be applied on Bella. These days Bella had been so close to Esme and Rose. Honestly, no one didn't love Bella. Checking up Bella was the first thing Carlisle ever did when he reached home. Emmett loved playing baby games with her. Jasper enjoyed hanging around Bella. But Alice was Alice. She was in charge of Bella's clothes, and as far as I knew, she had been planning Bella's first shopping trip. Joy, 5-month-old. Bella was sitting on her own high chair waiting for the meal. I held a bowl full of cereal, sitting on the couch that was beside Bella's high chair. Bella had now started eating solid food since she was teething. "Bella, open your mouth, please." I was holding the spoon in front of her mouth. This was the second time I fed her solid food. I have failed the first time about few weeks ago, so Esme, Rosalie, and maybe Renesmee fed her most of the time. Jacob wanted to feed her himself, but Nessie declined his suggestion in a second. I only could get the chance of feeding her milk or water, and so did Jake. When Bella heard her name, she started looking at me, but that was until she noticed the spoon, and she didn't turn around. I had thought I was going to succeed this time, because last time she had turned around at the second she saw the spoon. My smile was frozen until Bella grasped the spoon in her hand and started waving it to Jasper, who sat near us watching TV. "Ah, please, Bella," I pleaded and shot Jasper a warning glance. I heard someone snicker. She wanted the spoon, but not for eating. "For playing. Love, please open your mouth. Aren't you hungry?" I retrieved the spoon from her and tried to feed her again. "Bella, if you finish this, then we can go out." I cooed her. But Bella was focusing on the television now. "Alice has a plan for you. Bella, come on." Bella stared at me for a second, but continued watching the television. I was frustrated. Bella started reaching her hands toward Jasper. She wanted him to carry her out of the high chair. I knew Jasper was in a dilemma. Ah. Bella was waving to him since he didn't come, then Jasper gave in and came to hold her. I sighed in defeat while Renesmee patted my shoulder. "Let me handle this, you prepare her clothes." I nodded, but I didn't leave the living room. I stood there watching how Renesmee fed Bella the solid food. Bella was sitting on Jasper's lap watching Winnie the Pooh, happily. Renesmee came over and switched off the television, then went to hold Bella, putting her back on the high chair. The living room was quiet without the sound from the television. This made Bella pay the attention to Renesmee. Renesmee let Bella smell the cereal on the spoon. "Bella, sweetie," Renesmee opened her mouth, and Bella mimicked her immediately. I sighed and left to prepare the things that Bella needed when she hung out. I didn't know how Renesmee could feed Bella effortlessly. I was pushing the baby buggy which Bella was sitting in. I had no idea which place or which shop I wanted to go into, but I also had no idea where Bella wanted to go. I wish I could hear Bella's mind. This would make me please her more easily. This was our first time in the shopping mall. After her free time, we needed to meet Alice and Rosalie in the baby clothing shop. Maybe we could go to the bookstore to buy some books for me and Bella? That was when I saw Jasper came out from the elevator. Jasper couldn't be more happy about buying some new books. I was sauntering into bookstore with Bella in my arms for about 20 minutes. Jasper was pushing the empty baby buggy behind us. Bella wiggled again when I was checking a book title. When I found a few books I liked, Jasper was almost finished too. Jasper raised his eyebrow questionably at me when I looked back at him. "Need some help?" "Maybe she wants to go back to her buggy." I nodded, then placed her back into the baby buggy. Bella started playing with her toes at the second she was set down. I knew that Jasper would take good care of her, so I walked to the other aisle. I picked out tons of books for me and Bella. Most of the books were for baby learning, but I didn't know if Bella loved reading until she was older. Carlisle told me that maybe this Bella didn't have the same personality, hobbies, or even favors. Deep down I was scared that Bella would not love me as before, although I still felt I was attached to her as a mate. The thought of her being with other was unbearable, and I knew no matter how things changed, I still loved her, Bella. I sat on a bench with Bella sat on my lap, her baby buggy parked beside the bench. We were waiting for Jasper to show up with the clean bottle after Bella dropped it. Suddenly, a toddler ran toward me and looked at Bella. "What's her name?" the boy asked. "Bella." I smiled as Bella looked at me after heard her name. "Bella? Can I play with her?" Bella looked at him curiously. When I was about to answer him, I heard the footsteps and a female voice was shouting at him at the same time. "Tommy! Where have you been?" I have told you she stopped reproaching him when she noticed I was here. God! He's so handsome. Is the baby his? Probably not. He was too young to have a daughter. "Tommy, don't you ever walk away from me." "Hello, I am Helen. And this is my brother. This baby is so cute." "Is she yours?" This woman was staring at me with her inappropriate thoughts, and she was planning to hold Bella to show how motherly she is? No way. I didn't want anyone other than my family to touch my Bella. "Nice to meet you." "Sorry, but I need to go now." I set Bella in her baby buggy and pushed off. I knew Jasper could find me by our vampire method instead. I looked at Bella and saw what she was looking. Alice. Alice was jumping up and down in front of a shop. A baby clothing shop. "Alice, that's enough," I warned. Bella was impatient after she had tried on so many clothes and wanted to wriggle away from Alice. "Here, love. I won't let her get you." I took her from Alice. Jasper gave Bella another bottle of water. "Alice, just buy what you want. Bella will wear it." Jasper consoled. "Right, but I really want her to try on these." Bella used to be patient. Alice muttered, then chose other clothing and hats for Bella. "Alice, she is a baby now." Jasper sighed. "Edward, it's her napping time." Rosalie reminded me from a pile of clothing. I sat on the couch that provided for a customer. Bella yawned and closed her eyes. "Sweet dreams, Bella." I hummed her lullaby, rocking her gently. "Nessie POV, Mama." "No, Bella." Grandpa Carlisle had told me that I'd better not to call her Mama, to call her by her actual name, Bella. Since she being in the stage of listening and learning, she would start learning to say Mum very soon, so I would confuse her if I called her Mama. Bella was rolling over and over on the carpet, which she had enjoyed this activity lately. I sat beside Bella watching her intently. Once Daddy had finished chatting with Grandpa Carlyle in his study, he came downstairs and sat in front of the piano, composing another piece again. I wondered if this was going to be Bella's new lullaby. He wrote some notes on a paper after closing his eyes and listened Bella's giggle for a while. The house was quiet besides Bella's sound, since all the boys except Dad went hunting. Daddy started playing, when the sound of the piano caught Bella's attention immediately. She started to look around to find out where the sound came from as her eyes met Daddy's eyes. She reached out her little hands toward Dad, wanting him to pick her up. Rosalie POV, new model of Volvo on sale. Not interested. I glanced the heading of the passage, then turned to next page. I skimmed the magazine, nothing new. Something soft leaned on my left side abruptly as I saw Bella had leaned against the cushion on her right, when cushion collapsed against me. I chuckled. Bella was trying to prop up by me to get into a sitting position. She failed, wriggling and tried again. Bella had been trying to sit recently, but she didn't enjoy any help, so I waited. After trying and trying, Bella looked up at me. I smiled back. I helped her to a sitting position, then placed the cushion on her right side to support her. She was too happy about the position, waving her hands excitedly. Just less than a few seconds, she collapsed against Jasper, who sat her left. Jasper chuckled. Bella smiled back and tried to sit by herself again. Emmett POV, Rose gave me the tools for installing the new safety gates at the top and bottom of the stairs, and all of doorways. Rose, no. Edward, no. Maybe the two of them thought Bella would be safer with these gates installed? No way. She couldn't any more safer with some vampires that are occupying the same house as her. Anyway, it would be fun having these safety gates as an obstacle to jump over. Good, let's do it. I installed all the gates carefully and screwed them on tight. I really didn't want them to break so effortlessly, especially not after I challenged Jazz and Jake few times. Rose, I got them finished, I shouted, standing in front of Carlyle's study. Living room. I ran into living room and saw that there was a brand new carpet lay on the floor. Wait, not only in the living room, but was in all of the places in the house, except the rooms, toilets, and the kitchen. What's the event? I asked her. Rose fixed the carpet and answered me, no, silly, it's for Bella. Okay, but I don't understand. Anyhow, since I have done all the works you told me, I am going to have a rematch with Jasper now. Prepare to wipe your tears, Jazz. I laughed and darted out the living room. Dude, time for the rematch. Found him crouching in the garage. Not now. 3 minutes. Jazz answered, not even bother to look up from something in front of him. Sure, what are you creating? Dude, you are an artist. I didn't know that he was a craftsman doing little handiwork. He didn't respond, as he kept fixing his little piece of art. I heard some cracking and a snapping noise. Done. And Emmett, I am not creating. I am just setting this up for Bella. He stood up to let me see what he was created. Oh, it was a baby walker only. Bella was walking in her brand new baby walker. She seemed very cheerful. She could go anywhere with this baby walker within the confided area. Bella always followed the one she first saw. If she found out the person she laid eyes on and didn't has the intention to move or walk, she would go find other. It was cute to watch her following everyone. Just like now, Bella saw Jasper reading and walked toward him as she gained a hello from Jasper. She waited a few minutes, then left Jasper behind because she knew he wasn't going to move. She looked around to seek her new target and discovered Jacob was walking. She chuckled following him. Ding ding, ding ding. Her baby walker making sound like bells when moving. Bella kept following him, while I laughed. As she walked her walker too fast, it dashed towards Jacob. It was funny to see Jacob avoiding her. Oops, not good. Jacob was striding toward the stair. I wanted to call Bella to divert her attention, but it was too late. Jacob jumped over the safety gate once he got at the top of the stairs. Bella stopped in front of the gate to stare at the way Jacob disappeared. Oops, ah. She started sobbing and pointed to the stairs. Great, Jacob's fault again. Come here, Bella. Don't cry. I coaxed her, hoping I could make her stop crying before Edward noticed. I had no such luck. Edward was the first to came down, then Rose after him. Edward picked Bella up from her walker. Sure, Bella. What's wrong? Don't cry. Edward glanced at me. Hey, dude, it not me this time. I alleged instantly. Rose raised her brows in disbelief. She didn't believe me. I replayed what just happened in my mind. It's Jacob again. Not me. Bella kept pointing to the stairs. Once Edward had combined the gestures of Bella and my memory, he turned to Rose and murmured Jacob. Stairs, again. Rose snarled too low so Bella didn't hear. Dog. Downstairs now. This instant. I was glad I didn't make the same mistake again. I was glad I was not as dull as Jacob, but if he were I, Bella wouldn't know I went upstairs. I was so fast. Jacob with his dumb expression was standing beside the stairs. What? He looked at Bella who was already laughing in Edward's arms. I didn't do anything, I snorted. Like you didn't. What have you done before you went upstairs? Rose huffed. She didn't even wait until Jacob to answer. She kept saying, how many times do we remind you that you don't want to let Bella see you at the other side of the gates? She hates seeing people disappear behind those gates when she couldn't follow behind. Oh, I'm sorry. I will keep that in mind. Jake apologized and went to Bella. Sorry, Bella. Please forgive me. Bella touched his face, which she had seemed like she already forgiven him. 8-month-old. Epoph. I was playing with Bella in my room. Well, I was watching Bella playing by herself. She had mastered sitting. She could sit by her own and didn't need anything to prop her up. When she was sitting on the floor, she started jabbering to me. I couldn't make out what she was saying, but she kept jabbering eagerly. Maybe she was explaining something to me? Bella stopped and dragged the bottle in front of her and she started drinking. Bella laid down the bottle, but then I heard Jasper thoughts from outside my door. Have a second? I gave Bella a big fluffy bear that was about as tall as Bella in a sitting position, in which Emmett had bought her. In response, she started jabbering and gurgling with it. I really didn't understand what she was talking about to the bear. I walked to the doorway, and Jasper was standing there. Anything? I asked. Nope, just want to give you the photos and ask if you wanted to hunt with us. Jasper handed me a pile of photos. These were the newest photos of Bella. Alice had been taking photos of Bella for herself and me. Thanks, Jazz. I looked over checking Bella, making sure she was okay. She was drooling on the bear and caressing it. Did Rosalie get these photos? I asked Jazz. I knew Rose was making the photo album. Yep, she had it. And the hunt? Jazz thought I need to have a good hunting trip because I had been having quick hunts since I found Bella. When I was about to give Jazz a rejection, I felt something was tugging my pants. I looked down and found Bella giggling. I picked her up. Hey, baby. Did you roll over here? I cooed to her, and of course I didn't expect her answer, so I told Jazz I would go next time. No, Jazz said suddenly. What? I couldn't understand what he said. No to my rejection? I mean, she didn't roll. Bella crawled. Jazz explained thrillingly. Bella learned the art of crawling. I was so proud of her at the moment. I was ecstatic. Jasper POV. Hey, Jasper. You cheated again. Emmett exclaimed, tossing the game controller aside. No, I didn't. I retorted indifferently. I cursed internally for my carelessness that let Emmett discovered I cheated. I needed to make up a new strategy to beat Emmett up. Suddenly, a yawn came from upstairs. I realized Bella woke up already. Then it was almost at the same time, a thump sounded from the same place where the yawn was from. Emmett and I exchanged a quick glance. I was sure that our looks expressed the same thing. We are in trouble. We rushed upstairs, towards Edward's room, not Bella's room, since Bella usually didn't like sleeping in her own crib except when she was extremely tired, so Edward was more than happy to let Bella have his bed. And surely, Edward's bed didn't have any bars that prevented Bella from falling off the bed. Then, here came the accident. I couldn't believe I could let her get harmed. Edward had beaded us on taking care of Bella before he went off to hunting trip with Alice and Rose. I hoped nothing had happened to Bella as we stood in front of Edward's room and saw Bella had lay on the floor trying to get up on her own. Her big brown eyes were full of tears. God! No! I could feel she was helpless. Bella, did you get hurt? I'm so sorry. I darted to her and picked her up, hugging her to me. When she was safe in my arms, Bella started crying against my shoulder. It's okay, Bella. I cooed to her although she was still crying. Jazz, is she hurt? Emmett reminded me, worrying. Nothing I can find. Maybe she is scared? I rocked Bella back and forth, hoping she would stop crying. Please don't cry, Bella. I am so sorry. I rubbed her red cheek as her tears tainted. I tried to give her the pacifier but it wouldn't work. No matter how hard we try, Bella kept crying. I told Emmett, call Carlisle, maybe he will know the reason. Emmett nodded although he shuddered at the consequence if Rose found this out. Emmett pulled out the phone and pressed the speed call button as we were waiting for the line to connect. Carlisle, pick up the damn phone. I heard Emmett curse impatiently. At the sixth ring, Carlisle finally picked up. Carlisle Cullen speaking. Carlisle, Emmett, what's happened? Carlisle seemed really surprised to hear Emmett calling him. Bella fell off the bed, and we have checked if there's no broken bones and surface injury, but she is crying. What's wrong? Emmett explained. Carlisle paused few seconds before he answered. There is a possibility that she got inner injury or maybe she is just scared. Don't worry, I am coming home now. Carlisle told me to not let Bella move anymore. If she had inner injury, the movement would hurt her a lot. But she writhed in my arms, crying, when the phone rang. Emmett looked at the screen and mouthed Edward. Emmett took a breath then answered the phone. Hello? Emmett asked tentatively, is Bella okay? Alice saw that you two fuss over something involved Bella. Edward asked at once, not even bother to say anything meaningless. Alice couldn't see Bella directly, she need to see through our future to check up Bella. I think yes, she is okay. Emmett tried to undertone, but failed. What did you mean you think? Is Bella all right? Answer me. Edward growled. We could hear Rose snarled in the background as well. She fell off but now is okay, but keeps crying. Emmett replied to Edward without any delay. He knew Edward and Rose's patience run out already. I will be there in as soon as possible. Edward hung up the phone. We could both hear a car pulling up not far from our house. Less than few seconds, Renesmee dashed into the living room, knitting her brows. Why is Bella crying? I can hear her weeping from afar. I handed Bella to her, giving details of what just happened. Renesmee checked Bella carefully and murmured, Bella, forgives those stupid boys, they don't know how to take care of you. Don't cry, Bella. Renesmee kissed Bella's forehead. Boys, she is just hungry. Get her milk. Renesmee ordered us to prepare a bottle of milk for Bella. Few minutes later, Bella was drinking her milk in Renesmee's arms. No more tears now. She was clutching to the bottle. I heard another car pulled off. It was Edward's. Edward, Alice, and Rosalie were back. I kept assuring Edward that Bella was fine. Edward, she is fine. She has stopped crying already. Edward ran in the room with an anxious look. He stood beside Renesmee, wanted to take Bella from her. Bella, I am here. Renesmee gave Edward Bella's bottle of milk, so he could let him to finish feeding her. Edward wiped away Bella's tears mark and kissed her cheek. Edward sat on the couch with Bella on his lap. He was angry but he was smiling for Bella's sake. I knew that he was waiting the time that Bella was asleep to rebuke us. Renesmee and Rose were the first to hold their lecture against us. How come you two were so thoughtless? Rose barked in a low voice after she changed her clothes. Emmett and I mumbled a sorry then remained silent. I am so sorry, Edward. I should have paid more attention to Bella. Sorry. Edward didn't say anything but nodded. Once he had finished feeding Bella, he started burping her. After Rose, we both apologized to Renesmee but she said that we were forgiven. But told us we need to be more cautious. About a few minutes later, Bella was playing with her bear on the floor when Carlisle came home. Carlisle crouched down checking Bella warily although Bella didn't want to be checked. She grasped the bear when she did not want to be apart from it. Carlisle tried to check her with the bear's presence, but clearly, Bella didn't like anyone touching her bear, so she moved. She crawled forward a few steps and tugged the bear to her, crawled few steps and tugged, repeated this motion several times until she left Carlisle behind. All of them looked at her, amused. Carlisle laughed and explained to Bella patiently, Bella, I am not going to take your bear, I just want to make sure you are okay. Alice was having a vision, she chuckled, and so did Edward. Emmett asked, What? What did you see, Alice? He was looking between her and Edward. Alice said, Carlisle, Bella is really fine, I already looked. If you keep chasing behind her, she will keep crawling. I suggest you postpone the checking until she's sleeping. Carlisle sighed and nodded, as he packed up his tools and walked upstairs, leaving Bella and her bear alone. We had just moved into a new town this week. Carlisle and Edward were in an argument about this enrollment. Sorry, I stood correct, it was a discussion. Carlisle had thought it would be better if all of us would enroll in high school again. But apparently, Edward began to differ. He wanted to stay home and take care of Bella. He couldn't stand to be away from her. As a result of this discussion, Edward promised Carlisle that he would start school again after Bella was enrolled in kindergarten. But I was understanding how Edward was thinking. We all did. Edward never wanted to miss a moment of Bella's life. He also wanted to be a part of her life now, which I was not sure if that was a good idea. Today was the first day of school. Both Edward and Esme came with us for the facade. Bella was to be believed as Esme's miracle after all the years of trying to conceive. Edward told me that almost all the people at this town believed Esme would be biased to Bella, since Bella was her biological daughter, and our family was going in troubles because we all these adopted children and would hate Bella for grabbing all the attention from Esme. It was absurd. Esme held Bella as they walked off towards Edward's car. She kissed everyone goodbye as we left, seeing Bella waving goodbye in Esme's arms. Epitaph. I waited for Bella and Esme in the car while I flipped through all the students' minds. I could tell that they were all focusing on us. We were too noticeable, as their minds were totally different from what they showed on their faces. I can't believe that there is this kind of beautiful. Shelley has competition now. Their cars are cool. Isn't the car that the mess hair guy is driving the newest model that was just released? She's way too young to have so many kids. After Bella was done waving my siblings goodbye, Esme got into the car. She put Bella in her own baby car seat, then fastened the seat belt. That day something happened. Bella had been trying to call Esme Mama all day, even though she was slurring Mama out. It was hard to try to decipher what she was saying, but that really made Esme's day, maybe even a year. Tonight I went into Bella's room to check if she needed anything before she went to sleep. I walked in to find Bella standing up on her crib. I gave her the bottle of water, as she took and drank, finishing the bottle in no second. As I turned to leave to get another bottle for her, that's when it happened. Dada. I looked over my shoulder and saw Bella. Her tiny hand was reaching out for me, wanting me to hold her. I felt complicated at that moment. I was proud and scared at the same time. Surely I was swollen with pride because Bella had learned how to say daddy. It made me feel like she was really growing. She was so intelligent. And I was also self-satisfied that Bella had me recognized. But when I heard that she called me Dada, I was bittersweet. I loved her, I truly loved her, but I didn't want to be her father. My love towards her was not a father-daughter love, it was the love only to be shared between mates. I didn't want her to consider me as her father. Being her father meant that she would have her own lover or mate someday, that he wasn't me. The fear of who she would belong to at the end was rising in me again. Next I came to Carlisle when Esme was humming Bella to sleep. Son, want to talk? Carlisle asked once he stopped the work he had been doing. I nodded and told him what happened. I found myself shaken. Carlisle, I don't want being her father, but I also don't want to miss out her life. What should I do? I asked agonized. I could tell that Carlisle was pondering on what he should say. Carlisle, don't you have some way, please? I was desperate. I couldn't bear losing Bella again after I had gained her. Son, to be honest, maybe you should let the relationship between you and Bella let it be. All I can do is pay more attention on Bella, to let her be familiar with me, and try to be her father. Hopefully. You have been spending so much time with Bella, so you know by now that a baby would consider the most frequent people she sees as her parents, as in this case, Bella starts regarding you as her father. Carlisle explained to me patiently and gave me some advice. I nodded in agreement. Maybe I should go back to school to lessen the time I spend with Bella? Although being without Bella was physically painful, the next few days, I tried very hard to being as less time as possible with Bella before my enrollment to high school was approved. It's for you and Bella. I reminded was painful knowing that Bella was staying at the same house but I couldn't stay near her. My family knew what I was doing but didn't say anything. I ran back from a quick hunting trip. I slowed my pace when some voices popped in my mind. My family's. I walked closer to the house without making any sound, slipping into the doorway. Hurriedly, I raced upstairs and shut my door, grabbing my iPod. That's when I heard something from outside. I looked down from the window where I saw Carlisle. Renesmee and Bella, they were playing in the garden. Carlisle had worked less and less so he wouldn't draw anyone's suspicion after the conversation he had with me. Carlisle changed all of his shifts, but he mostly worked on night shifts when Bella was sleeping. He usually spent most his day with Bella, just like at this moment. I hated that it seemed that he took the place of me, but I was also glad he was willing to do this. I was such a selfish monster. Carlisle was doing this for me, and I couldn't help hating him. He played with Bella, read to Bella, fed Bella, changed her diapers, doing all the things I used to do as I no longer did. And now, all I could do was watching their interactions. Bella laughed. Carlisle was tickling her. As I watched, I didn't know how much more I could stand not being with Bella. If not, I was going to be out of my mind. Edward, it's enough. Alice bust into my room. I lowered the volume of my iPod and raised my eyebrow. Reading her mind, I found nothing that could clearly explain what she was saying. I stared at Alice, waiting for her to keep going. The distance. Alice shouted. I understand what you're thinking about, but that doesn't mean that doing this is the only way to fix this problem. You can try anything to change that. But you can also teach Bella to call you Edward and Carlisle Daddy. You don't need to stay away from Bella, moping around. You are making the same mistake of staying from Bella. You know? I sighed. Alice had her point, but I didn't know if I could. Don't you dare, Edward Cullen. Alice barked. Don't stay from Bella. You know that will all help you into teaching Bella. Be patient. I believe that she will be yours someday in spite of what she sees you as her brother or father now. Think about it, Edward. She left. I meditated. I always knew that my relationship with Bella was no longer as same as before. Maybe she wouldn't love me as her mate anymore. Right now, I couldn't care less. As long as she was happy and healthy, I could be anyone she wanted or needed me to be. I rose to my feet. Bella, Daddy's coming. Epaph. I went downstairs, knowing that Bella was bathing around this time every day. I knocked at Renesmee's room door lightly. Come in, Renesmee chimed from inside. I walked in, seeing Renesmee holding a naked Bella who was wrapped in a pink towel. Renesmee stepped out of the bathroom and put Bella on the bed, then wiped her body. Bella had been moving and her hands trying to push against Renesmee, wanting to get out of the towel. Making sure Bella was dry and clean, Renesmee turned around to get Bella into her jumper. When Bella seized this chance to crawl away from Renesmee caught her the second she crawled out, pulled her back, and placed the jumper on her. Edward? Renesmee's voice stopped my gawking as she looked at me concernedly. I just want to see Bella. I fumbled my hair, embarrassed. Renesmee nodded in understanding. Suddenly she gave me the comb Bella used. I stared down at the comb, bewildered. How about you brush her hair? Be careful, don't let her crawl off the bed again. Renesmee warned to me but smiled a moment later. Next, I heard Renesmee closing the door on her way out. She knew I needed this time alone with Bella. I walked towards the bed, sitting beside Bella. I placed Bella on my lap, starting to comb her hair. She stared up at me. Did she forget me already? I thought bitterly. I had been able to see her every day, nonetheless she hadn't seen me. Of course she had forgotten me to her. I had disappeared a week. Bella smiled and patted my face. I could tell that she started to remember me, but she was not starting to call me Dada again. Combing her hair a few more times, she was starting to get impatient again, struggling to get off my lap. She wanted to play. I started to hold her downstairs, trying to find her baby walker. Once I found her baby walker, it was parked beside the couch in living room. I sat her into the walker. She was cheerful about it. Just settled her into it. She ran away in her walker already. I chuckled. I followed her when she walked towards the kitchen. She abruptly stopped in front of the safety gate of the kitchen. I didn't know what she was waiting for. Renesmee came down and darted in kitchen in a speed that Bella couldn't see her. Just then Bella saw Renesmee appear from the kitchen with a bottle of water. Bella bounced up and down in her walker when she found Esmee. Esmee gave Bella her bottle as Bella grasped it and drank immediately. Esmee started to talk to me after she gave Bella the bottle. Bella needs something when she stands in front of the kitchen like that. Edward, everything okay? She caught me staring at her. I nodded. Bella was always super busy in the living room. She walked and ran in her walker and sometimes halted to watch the TV, especially the music channel. She would move her little body along with melody. It was so cute to watch. From time to time, she loved to disturb you when you were being too quiet, like reading or writing. Bella would come up to you and say something you weren't able to understand, and then leave. When I was pretending to read, waiting for her to disturb me. Less than 3 minutes, Bella stopped in front of me, tugging the hem of my shirt, wanting to get attention from me. As always, school life was monotone, but I could endure it. Summer break was coming up in just about a month or so. After school I parked my car in the garage and found that there was no one at home. Where was Esmee and Bella? Once I was about to call Esmee, a call came in. It was Alice. Where are they? Florist again? I asked. Esmee always went to florist. She would bring Bella with her if there was no one else at home. Maybe they were buying flowers? Or they were on the way home from the florist now. Nope. They're strolling in the park. Alice chimed from the other end. I murmured a thanks then hung up. I knew which park they were in. The one had a big sandbox, red swings, and that Bella wanted to go but was not allowed. I drove to the park and saw Esmee and Bella were there. Just like usual, there weren't many but some children in the park. Most of them are just several years old. I parked my Volvo and walked straight at them. Esmee was strolling with Bella in her arms. The buggy was parked at around somewhere else. Edward, how's the school? Esmee asked softly once notice me. Perfect. Bella hasn't played on the swing today. Maybe you can. Esmee drifted off, rubbing Bella's pink cheek. Sure. I say automatically. I smiled, reaching for Bella. Ah. Bella was excited, stirring in my arms. I walked toward the vacant swing. Looking down, she was even eagerer when she knew we were going to play the swing. Her eyes glittered with excitement. I sat on the swing, holding the swing chain with one hand. Another secured Bella, who was sitting on my lap obediently. She knew what would happen if she moved at the same time I swung. At the very first few times I had swung with her on my lap, she was too enthusiastic. Although I had to hold her still even if warned her not to move, otherwise we would fly off the swing. When she had kept moving, I stopped at the second and walked off the swing. Surely, she hadn't learned the lesson right away because she was still a baby. So I kept walking off the swing by the time she moved. Now that she remembered that firmly. No more moving on the swings. I started swinging. Bella kept smiling. As the swing started swinging at the highest height for Bella, she started to close her eyes, giggling and squealing. She simply enjoyed the wind blowing onto her face, not the view that she could see on the so-called highest height. I slowed down the swing to let Bella know that her time up. I was afraid that she would dazzle me if she played too much the swing. I looked at her and sighed, while she glared back at me. Another problem of playing the swings was that Bella would not let go of the swing afterward. And right now, her little hands were holding tight onto a swing chain. She was being stubborn again. I could work out the moving problem but not the holding problem. If I unwrapped her hands from the chain by force, she would cry, and so all I could do was to find Esmee or others to save me. Esmee, please come here. I pleaded in a low voice. Nobody could hear that but Vampire. Esmee came to us from a bench. Again? Esmee saw the facial expression on Bella's face and couldn't help but chuckled. I nodded. Esmee reached out to Bella but Bella held the chain tighter. Bella, you see. Esmee pointed to Bella's buggy which was not far away, and in which was Bella's precious fluffy bear was in. Bella released the chain and reached for Esmee's arms when she saw her bear was waiting for her. Esmee placed Bella in the buggy and washed her hands with a wet towel before giving her the bear. Let's go home. I pushed the buggy with Esmee walking beside me. Jacob POV. It was summer already. Time flies. Bella was playing with her rattles on the carpet in her room, and I was sitting beside her watching TV and looking after her, preventing her from doing anything dangerous or stupid that she could do. I know, you must be thinking Bella is just a baby and that falling is the most hazardous she could do at best, right? But you were so wrong. She could do more dangerous things than you could imagine. Really? You were going to regret it if you ever underestimated Bella. I could remember less than 2 weeks ago, Bella had been playing one of her favorite things, the swings, with Edward. But when Bella released the swing chains, she flung herself into the air from Edward's lap. She always loved standing up on the swing, which was one of her favorite positions, instead sitting. But she failed since Edward's arm never left her waist, and she felt Edward's arm still around her, struggling to get out of it. Edward stopped the swing at once when he felt Bella no longer held onto the chains. Rosalie and Emmett went to the swing when they saw Edward stopped. "What's wrong, bro?" Emmett asked. Edward didn't say anything, just looking at Bella sternly. As Bella seemed to feel that she had done something wrong, she halted, struggling from Edward's arms and looking up at Edward. "Bella." Edward stated her name in a firm voice. Rosalie and Emmett looked at them, confused. She tried to jump on the swing. Edward explained curtly, answering the questions in their mind. While he was still glaring down at Bella, Rose gasped as Emmett started saying at the same time, "Don't give that look to her, man. Hey, she just wanted to look for some pleasure. It's not funny, Em. It's dangerous." Rose shot Emmett a glare. "Bella, I told you not to move when we swinging. What you did was wrong." Edward reprimanded her strictly. "It is wrong, Bella." Edward said it slowly again, emphasized the wrong. "It's wrong, Bella. You can do that. Do that, no swing." Rose pointed to the swing and repeated the same thing to Bella in a softer tone comparing to Edward's. Although Bella hadn't learned what we were saying, Carlyle said that we must teach her, so she would understand. Based on what Emmett described to me, Edward looked horribly angry and Rosalie was unpleased as well. Bella felt their emotions and knew she was in a trouble. She whimpered with tears, wanting to leave Edward's arms. She looked at Em, reaching for him. "No, Bella. Do you understand what I am saying?" Though Edward's voice softened much when he saw Bella's tears, he knew that he couldn't let Bella escape from the talk. She needed to remember this moment, otherwise, she would think it was okay to jump during the swinging. Bella was crying now, as the people were glancing at them. "Don't be like that, bro." Emmett walked towards Bella, wanting to hold her. "Emmett, don't hold her. She needs to learn her lesson." Rose agreed with Edward, so she stopped Em. "Bella knows she's wrong, right, Bella?" Em patted Rose's shoulder, reaching towards Bella. "You have learned, right? Don't cry, Bella." Edward wiped Bella's tears and gave her to Emmett. He sighed as Bella's tears melted his determination. Emmett continued holding Bella even after reached home. Bella was happily playing on the floor, so carefree, while Edward began to worry. Not that I felt surprised, it was his nature. The most worried him lately was the walking problem that Bella had. Bella was a 10-month-old, and she hasn't known how to stand by herself yet. Although she could stand while gripping your hands, but she couldn't pull herself up. Edward worried there was some problem with Bella, but Carlyle kept reassuring him that it was normal for a baby to learn how to walk when they were a year old or later. Bella's bib was soaked through now. She always drooled. Emmett was right, she was a drooler. "Nessie?" No response. "Where is she?" She was supposed sitting in the living room or chatting with Alice in her room, since others went hunting. Yes, I remembered. Nessie and Alice had told me they needed to leave few minutes. I had wanted Nessie to change Bella's bib, but since she was not here, I needed to do it myself. "Which drawer is her bibs?" I looked through all of her drawers and the closet, but I couldn't find nothing like her bib. Why did they hide the bibs? I given up finding it. It annoyed me. Wait a second, where is the bag they always bring along whenever they going out with Bella? There should be a spare bib in it. Bag, where are you? Here you are, good boy. My good boy was under Bella's crib. I opened it and found the precious bib, changed Bella's dirty wet bib with a new clean one. Bella looked good now. She even smiled at me for me doing a good job. Don't mention it, Bella. I kissed her forehead lightly. I dashed downstairs and threw the dirty bib in the laundry. Then I ran back into Bella's room within a minute or two. Okay, or three. In my defense, I was listening carefully when I was downstairs. I didn't want anything happen to her. She was laughing, although at the duration of my absence, I made the assumption that everything was fine and perfect. So when I was standing in front of her room, I was stunned. What the? Everything was snow white. Perfect. Everything was covered in baby powder. Included Bella's hair, hands, and feet, and you could guess her Bella Bear. The bear Emmett bought her long time ago, although all of us called the bear her Bella Bear since Bella would feel lonely if she were alone. Whereas the carpet and furniture looked like ghosts. You must be kidding me. I just left 2-3 minutes ago, and my absence of that entire 3 minutes caused this? I wanted to cry at that moment. Bella was still laughing joyfully. There were some handprints all over the carpet, and that I could guess where she had done was crawling and squeezing. How professional. Happy now? Give me that. I crouched down, wanting to take the baby powder bottle from Bella, but she giggled and shook the bottle hard as the powder rushed from it. Great. I am covered in the powder as well. Calm down, Jacob Black. I told myself, it's time for crisis management. Think about it. What should I need to do first? Think. I decided that evacuation was the very first thing I needed to do. I picked Bella up, tossing the bottle down, and turned around to leave. Bella was whimpering. I forgot Bella Bear. I grabbed it quickly, but I didn't return it to Bella since Bella Bear was covered in powder. Bella seemed satisfied with her bear even though it was in my arms, not hers. I put Bella down on the floor, but Bella Bear was still in my arms. I raised my voice to call Nessie and Alice. I extremely needed them now. Nessie, Alice, where are you? I didn't dare to leave Bella's side now. Yes? They answered from the garden. I got a problem. Please come. I pleaded desperately. They appeared in a second, as they looked at Bella and Bella Bear with the wide eyes. Well, as you see, so. How do I deal with this? I asked, embarrassed by this predicament. Nessie and Alice had left not more than 10 minutes, and I returned them a snow-white Bella. Jake and Nessie wanted to say something, but I stopped her. Yeah, I know, it's all my fault. I admitted. Well, Alice finally started saying something, with a mischievous smile. The problem will be dealt in 2 minutes. Alice noted curtly, with the smile still on her face. I could hear Bella clapping her hands jubilantly. Then, I knew what happened. A few whoosh sounds came from the backyard. They were here. We leave you to explain. Alice announced, and patting Nessie's hand, seemed implying her to keep her mind blank. 5 of them stepped into the living room just right after Alice finished the sentence. They all stared at Bella with the same expression that had been shown on Nessie and Alice a few moments ago. Since when did Bella become a pale face? Emmett was the first one react to the scene, who burst out laughing, and so did Jasper and Bella. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I stuttered to explain. Carlisle smiled and Esme said, don't worry, it's her bathing time anyway. God, she was so kind. I loved her. Edward and Rosalie didn't move at all. I knew it. They were the most difficult ones to deal with. I was preparing myself to take Rose's bark. Bella crawled to Edward while she tugged his pants, demanded a hug. Edward picked her up, not caring about the powder. Bella gave him a kiss on his cheek and patted his face with her hands, which full of powder, that stamping Edward's face with her little hand prints. When she touched his hair, Edward became a pale hair man. Bella giggled and clapped, satisfied with what she had done. All of us laughed, including Rose. The tension eased. Bella, you saved me. Satisfied? Edward asked fondly, kissing her forehead, starting to clean the powder off of her, and heading upstairs with Bella. Jacob POV. Hey, Jazz! Rematch! Emmett barked from the garage, once all of the Cullens had all came back from their hunting trip. Not now, Jazz reclined his invitation. Why not? I have something to do, so I'll beat you later. Go find Jake. Maybe he wants a rematch just as much as you do. Emmett started laughing. He is too weak to be my component. Really, Emmett? What are you saying? I retorted from the kitchen without raising my voice. I knew he could hear me. Ooh? Okay. Your request of rematch is granted. Emmett suddenly appeared in front of me, excitedly. Sure. Come on. Switch it on. I put my bowl in the sinker. When I finished washing the dish, Emmett was in the living room awaiting me in front of the television with the Xbox on. Good. Let you see how I beat your ass. I came into the living room when Emmett suddenly switched the Xbox off and placed it back in the carrier bag. I looked at him quizzically. "Bella is up," he explained curtly. "I think there's a room upstairs that is, kind of, soundproof, to humans. So we'll play there, all right?" I nodded and started up the stairs behind Emmett, expecting to stop by Bella on the way there. When we went upstairs, I saw Bella was held in Rose's arms watching us curiously, then setting Bella down on the floor to crawl around. Emmett set things up in the game room. There we started our rematch. Left, 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 jump. I almost beat Em and I stole a glance at him. He was grunting, of course he was going to lose. I snickered, but then I noticed that Bella had gotten away from Rosalie and was crawling towards me. I couldn't see the screen with her in front of it, so I tried to look over her. Nothing. She was holding onto the TV stand, trying to pull herself up. When she failed but kept trying, she was in my way. Emmett didn't say anything because Bella was standing in my way, not his, blocking my sight of the figure on the screen. And his figure was beating mine hard. "No way, Nessie! Or someone, please, can you get Bella? She is standing in my way," I shouted. Edward was the first one stomped into the room, who stood behind Bella. Then came Rose, Nessie, Esme. Well, the rest of them followed. "Hey, dude, go play outside. We're okay in here." Emmett waved his hand, dismissing his family. "Shut up and shite your game off." Alice hushed him, glaring at him. Emmett put the game on pause when all of them were staring down at Bella. I didn't understand what the attraction was. They were captivated. I raised my brow looking at Em. He shrugged, confused as much as me. Her first ever try pulling herself up and standing by herself. Edward answered knowing I was confused. Oh. No wonder they were so anxious and expectant. It was Bella's first time. Edward had promised that he would be there whenever Bella's whatever first time happened. Emmett threw his game controller when he heard what Edward said and went to go stand behind Bella. "Go Bella, grasp it and pull yourself up." Em clenched both his fists and shook them, yelling supportively for Bella. Bella slumped down and looked around to see Esme. She looked like wanted to cry, wanting some help from Esme. I wanted to cry too if I were her. So many people were watching me as I humiliated myself. Edward stepped toward Bella at once but he didn't hold her. He kissed her cheek and said in a soft voice, "Try again, Bella. You can do it." He placed her little hands back on the edge of the TV stand, hinting her to try. Edward didn't retreat his hands from on Bella's, as he steadied her hands from unclasped holding, because Bella had a few failures that were due to the unclasping of her hands. Bella stopped sobbing when she saw Edward was doing this with her. She tried again as her legs were sort of shaking. But when she attempted to raise her body, her legs propping her up to a standing position. She did it. She could stand by herself. Wow, I was so proud of her. Bella was standing just a few seconds, then she slumped. Edward said nothing but hugged her into his chest before she fell down, kissing her affectionately. "Sis, you stand." Em applauded vibrantly. All of us were clapping our hands, and Esme seemed so ready to cry, although she didn't shed any tears. Our little Bella learned how to stand. Bella's birthday was at the corner, just less than a week. All of us had decided September 9th was going to be Bella's birthday since we didn't know the exact birthday of her. So we used the Bella's old one instead of making up a new one. I knew all of us had been preparing for Bella's first birthday. And one thing that was on all of our minds were birthday presents. Alice thought that giving Bella's present soon would be better, taking advantage that Bella doesn't know how to say no. Edward couldn't agree more with the idea. I could remember the days that led up to Bella's first birthday. 5 days before Bella's birthday, there was a package that was sent to our house. Emmett signed for them, although I didn't know what were inside the boxes. 3 days before Bella's birthday, Edward was out all day. 1 day before Bella's birthday, all the women were decorating the house. The 9th of September. Today, all of us have a stupid colorful party hat on our heads, including Bella, although she didn't feel or see any difference between the usual day and her birthday. Maybe she just felt everybody was around her happy today. Esme had made Bella a beautiful birthday cake. Bella had tried to blow the candle and failed, so Edward had to finish it for her. None of us but Renesmee and I were eating the birthday cake. I didn't understand why Esme made such a giant cake if they never eat at all. However, the cake did look good in the photos. After we were finished with the cake, it was presents time. Bella seemed indifferent, sitting in her high chair in front of the antique dinner table with us standing around her. "Mine first! Mine first!" Alice yelled and showed a piece of the dress to us. "A dress?" Emmett asked incredulously. "Silly. Others was in her wardrobe." Alice huffed, couldn't believe Emmett asked that question. "It's Carlisle and Esme's turn," Alice announced. There were the same smiles on Carlisle and Esme's faces when they went towards Bella. Esme held a little box out, and Carlisle opened it. It was a bracelet with a Cullen crest on it, a proof, that is, a Cullen member. Carlisle explained, kept smiling, holding up the bracelet that everyone could see. Next, Alice told all of us that Rosalie was next. She dragged Rosalie from all of us to the center of the room where Bella was sitting. "Come on, Rose. I'm sure Bella would love them," Alice told Rosalie anxiously. Rosalie sighed and went to get the present that lay on the floor. She held the box out in front of Bella, who looked at it quizzically, then smiling up at what Rosalie was holding. "A pair of shoes. Rose, your present is awesome. Bella loves them." Alice hyped. Rosalie smiled brightly, holding them towards us. "I hope Bella learns walking with wearing these on." "Wow, that was really considerate of her." Bella reached for a shoe and grasped it. "Rose, maybe you can wear those on Bella for her?" Emmett joked. Bella really loved the shoes, as she kept staring at them. She grinned at Rose and started babbling ah. She seemed to say a thank you to Rose, who was touched. "Our turn," Nessie said. She fished out our present from her bag. I already knew what it was since I had been preparing this with Nessie for a week or so. "It's from Jake and I, Bella." Nessie murmured a mama in a low voice, just high enough for the super hearing ears to hear. Nessie opened it for Bella. It was an album. The album was full of Bella's photos that were taken after her arrival. Bella touched the cover of the album where it held a picture of her. She kept staring at it, interested. "Okay, it's Jazz, it's your turn," Alice said, pushing Jazz to Bella. Jazz unwrapped the present. "Shirts? When did he become so, Alice?" "He gave clothing for Bella's present. Couple wear?" I blurted. Jazz nodded and said, "One for Bella, of course, and the other one is for..." He shot a glance to Edward and kept saying, "Bella Bear." All of us burst out laughing. "Dude, you are so creative," Emmett commented, snickering. "Thank you, Jazz, Bella loves them." Edward smiled. Edward put the new shirt on Bella while just doing the same on Bella Bear. Bella looked at herself and at Bella Bear. She laughed and clung onto Bella Bear tightly. We laughed along with Bella when we noticed that there were words on the backs of the shirts. There was a "Don't Get in a Cullen Girl's Way" on Bella's back, and a "Don't Get in the Cullen Bear's Way" on Bella Bear's shirt. "My present next," Emmett clamored. "No, wait, mine first." Edward stopped him and glanced him a meaningful look that it prevented him from starting any argument effectively. Edward put a necklace with a locket on Bella's neck silently. Even Bella didn't try to pull the necklace off like what she had been doing with the bib that Edward had always given Bella to wear. When he opened the locket in front of our eyes, we saw that there was a Bella on left side, and the right side was vacant. "I left the right side to her to put the photo when she's older," Edward said, scratching his hair nervously. We all knew he was waiting Bella to put his photo into the locket. "Okay, it's your turn now, Em." Edward broke the silence. "I appreciate your present. I think yours is the most favorite present to Bella besides Jazz's." Edward smirked. "It's true." Alice chimed in. "I knew it. My little sis loves my present." Emmett laughed. He looked so smug of himself. We were befuddled. "Follow me." Em raised his hand, making a follow motion, then he dashed toward the backyard. We followed in a second. Edward picked up Bella and her Bella Bear, walking behind us. We stopped when we saw the present. "Wow, Emmett was really good." Seemed like Bella agreed with me when she saw Emmett's present. She started stirring in Edward's arm and couldn't wait to get out from his grasp. It was a little park that Bella usually likes going to. 2 swings that were just the right size for Bella to be in, but you could also adjust it for when she grew older. There was also a sandbox and a slide. Wow, a full set. Rosalie and Jasper praised Emmett for doing such a good job. Bella whimpered and tugged Edward's sweater, wanting to get onto the playground. Hey, don't cry on your big day. Edward lifted her, walking towards the swing. Edward sat on the swing with Bella sat on his lap, and started swinging. Bella giggled, enjoying the wind. Happy birthday, Bella. The end. Thanks for watching.